welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, hello, my name is Ashley. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I try to share these what's for dinner videos at least every week. Some weeks it works out better than others, but you know, that's real life. So today's video we are going to be doing a rendition on struggle meals, or what some people call hood meals. Just depends on where you're from and what you know it as. So basically the story behind this is that, for those of you who don't know, I grew up in the hood for a good portion of my childhood. My mom was a single mom with me and my brother for a few years, and yeah, we were in housing, we have food stamps. I say this all the time on my channel, I am so real. I have nothing to hide, so this is just reality. We had a lot of struggle meals growing up. So basically I decided to take some of those meal ideas and flip them and kind of show that, you know, you can still have those same basic meal concepts, but just flipping it and making it just a little bit more desirable than just ramen noodles and hot dogs all the time, like 3 days out of 7. You can at least amp it up once a week. Most of these recipes are very simple to make. There are very few steps, and they are all under $10. That is, well, dependent on how many of the ingredients you already have in your home. So some of these meals for us was actually less than $5 to make, because going to the grocery store I only needed a couple of ingredients that were on the list that we didn't already have. Most of them, though, we had in the house just as is. So for each meal I definitely will total it up how much, on average, how much it would cost. Because I live in New York, it's one of the more expensive states to live in. So what it might cost for me to make it, it might actually cost somebody in like Arkansas, I don't know, maybe like half that. So that's definitely great. So yeah, that's the backstory behind this. Oh, also I did mention in here, I was a single mother for a little bit of time with my son, and so yeah, we had like a rough time for a little bit, and we definitely had some struggle meals then too. Nothing to be ashamed about. I completely understand, and then especially with this pandemic going around, people need like cheaper meal options. So hopefully whatever you're going through, you find this video helpful and inspirational to make just some really good meals for your family, or even for yourself if you're like a struggling college student. I've been there. I've been there too. I think I've been through it all. But yeah, so that being said, let's get into this week's What's for Dinner. Alright, so the first night that we're going to start with is spaghetti night. So I know if anybody grew up eating a lot of spaghetti or butter noodles and you weren't Italian, your parents were probably not millionaires. So this is something that we had very, very often in my house, especially without meat, because meat was a little bit more expensive. So just noodles with sauce or noodles with butter, that was a typical dinner most weeks. So we're going to take that concept and just amp it up a little bit. This can be made at any grocery store that you shop at, including Walmart, Aldi, Dollar Tree even. So basically what we have is called a lazy lasagna. So we have some cheese ravioli, we have some ground turkey, you can also use ground beef, but at Aldi the ground turkey was on sale, so it was just cheaper. We have a jar of pasta sauce, and then a bag of mozzarella. You can also use some Parmesan if you have some Parmesan. If not, you can get it for $1 at the Dollar Tree, or you can just completely omit Parmesan altogether. It really doesn't matter, it's up to you. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how we are going to get this done. So the first step that we're going to do is brown up our meat. So whatever that is, if you're using ground turkey, ground beef, or even if you're not using meat, you can completely omit the meat. It's up to you 1000%. If you have any seasonings and you want to use some seasonings, you totally can. I tell you guys all the time, I am real, I am not fake. So I'm telling you, I'm about to add a lot of seasoning. We are adding onion, pepper, garlic, like the actual chopped up one, and then also onion powder, garlic powder, some black pepper, and some seasoned salt to this, just to amp it up a little bit, because I know my kids, I know my family. But I'm just doing this to show all of my peeps out there who may not have all those seasonings, who may not be able to afford that right now. I support you, I understand, I've been there. And yeah, I'm just gonna try to help you guys kind of amp up your meals, even just the slightest bit, but for the cheapest dime possible. So now that my sauce is all done, I'm going to go ahead and layer my lasagna, essentially, or my raviolis. Depending on how many people you are feeding, and depending on how much ravioli you bought, this amount of sauce can also last the next day as leftovers for just spaghetti, or you can actually freeze spaghetti sauce. I freeze it all the time if there's way too much, and then I just pull it out the next time I'm making spaghetti and add that in there, and basically keep it going until, like, I stop making military-sized portions of spaghetti, but that's besides the point. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this put together and show you guys how it looks. Okay everybody, so my lasagna is all layered as you saw in the video. I do still have some ravioli left over. This is only an 8x8. You're supposed to do this in a 9x13, but not all of us are eating tonight, so there's that. Then I have, as you see, a lot of leftover spaghetti sauce, so either I could just warm this up with the ravioli separately for tomorrow for lunches, or I can freeze this and save it for another time. You never know. So don't quite know exactly what I'm doing with that yet, but I know I'm going to top this with just a little bit of mozzarella and some Parmesan cheese, which again is optional, and then I'm going to bake this. Okay everybody, so my lasagna is almost done, so I'm going to go ahead and get my garlic bread put together. This is Hood garlic bread. If y'all don't know what this is garlic bread that we used to make growing up, because Mom was not buying that store-bought stuff, because we always had the ingredients to make it ourselves. So you got the sliced bread, we got butter, and then I do garlic and salt, because the garlic salt don't taste like garlic at all, it just tastes like salt. So I kind of make my own garlic salt mixture. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that put together, and I'm gonna put that in the toaster oven until my lasagna is finished. Alright, so this is how dinner is. So we have our lasagna, and then we have our garlic toast, as you saw in the last clip. This serves very well with green beans, or spinach, or salad, or whatever. Because I know my mom serves spaghetti with a lot of weird vegetable sides, probably because we needed to get them out the pantry. So go ahead and do you with what you want to serve this with, or you could just serve it by itself. It's up to y'all. But this is going to be the lazy lasagna. Alright y'all, so for tonight's dinner we're going to be doing a rendition on hot dogs and beans, beanie weenies, depending on where you live, is how you know it. This obviously was a staple for my family growing up, so I'm just going to show you guys how to jazz it up a little bit. I'm like going halfway inspired by Taylor Elmore and Justin the Boys with the Cowboy Beans, but instead of bacon, I'm going to be doing some smoked sausage just to have that theme of the beanie weenies or hot dogs and beans. But it's just jazzed up a little bit, so I have some beef I'm going to brown up. Obviously, I have my smoked sausage. These two I got for $2 a piece. This is from Aldi's, this is from Walmart. You could probably find it cheaper. I know this you can find at Dollar Tree. You can find ground beef at some Dollar Trees, depending on where you live. Smoked sausage, I mean, it's depending on if you want to do sausage, or you can do hot dogs in this too, if that's what you have or can afford, if you can't find the sausage. But this one was $2 at Aldi. I know they have cheaper if you're not going with the all beef, but we don't really eat pork, so that's why. Some cheddar cheese, some of this. If y'all been here a while, you know I don't know how to say it. 2 cans of pork and beans, some mustard, and some ketchup. But if you're pressed for money, if you can get some baked beans, that would eliminate these 3 items here. So 1 giant can of baked beans or 2 small cans of baked beans, whatever you can do. It's all the same, and it's all like the same flavors. Oh shoot, I forgot to get out the brown sugar. You're gonna need a little bit of brown sugar too, which is why I say if you can't do all these, this, and the brown sugar, just do baked beans. It's the same thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my sausage cut up and cooked, and then I'm going to brown my beef. Alright, now that my sausage is browned up, I'm going to now brown the ground beef. I'm going to season this with some seasoned salt, garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, and that's literally going to be it. After that's done cooking, I will add the sausages back in, and the beans and the other ingredients. I'll show you guys briefly what I'm putting in, but I will also link Taylor Elmore's video making this, as well as the recipe and the exact measurements for that. So I'll go ahead and do that. Alright, so my beef is done for the most part, so I'm just going to add back in my sausage. I'm going to add in both cans of the beans, and then I'm going to show you guys exactly how much ingredients to use for the ketchup, the mustard, the brown sugar, and the, yep, that sauce. You know that one. Okay, so this is 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of ketchup, 1 tablespoon of mustard, 2 tablespoons of, yep. And then I didn't see in the recipe that it asked for sriracha. I guess that's optional, but I decided to go with some Frank's because I don't have sriracha anymore. I use it all. So I'm just going to mix that together and let that cook down. Alright, so this has been cooking down for some time, so now I'm just going to add some shredded cheese. It asked for a cup, so I'm just going to like eyeball it a little bit. You can omit the cheese if you don't eat cheese, or if you don't want cheese, or you don't have cheese. So I'm going to mix that together and let that sit for a couple of minutes while I start putting our plates together. Alright y'all, so dinner is done. So I just served this over some plain white rice. You can also just have this with some bread and butter. That's how I used to eat it growing up. But then when I was a single mother, I served like hot dogs and beans with rice. Just a little bit more filling, and where I live, you can find rice for pretty cheap. So that's going to be dinner for Tuesday. Hey y'all, it is Thursday, and tonight for dinner we're going to be doing a rendition on the cheeseburger macaroni hamburger helper. This is the second recipe I'm doing on this channel that is a make-it-yourself hamburger helper. I personally think that when you do it like this, it's way cheaper than buying the box. It might be like a couple of extra steps, but it's really not even that bad. So, growing up, I ate a lot of Hamburger Helper just because it was quick and easy, or we would just like eat boxed mac and cheese for dinner sometimes too. So I figured this recipe was a great one to do for this video. So you're just gonna need some elbow macaroni, some ground beef, some beef broth, or if you have the cubes, these are cheaper than buying the like whole thing of beef broth, to just mix 1 cube per cup of warm water. It says you need ground mustard, but if you don't have this in your pantry, don't worry. You can either omit it or use just the regular mustard out of your fridge. It asks for Velveeta. I found this at Aldi's. This tastes just like Velveeta to me. And it's like half the price of Velveeta. I've also, hint hint, wink wink, seen Velveeta packets in Dollar Tree if you don't have an Aldi near you, or your stores near you don't sell an alternative. I'm only going to be using half of this ground beef because we're not making that much tonight. I'm literally having the recipe, but I will link the whole recipe in the description box for anybody who's interested. And I have out my whole milk, and then I have some of this whipping cream left over from a recipe I was doing, and I want to use it up before it goes bad, so I'm hoping that there's enough in there to use up for this recipe. If not, I have the milk out just in case. So that's literally all you're gonna need, other than like salt and pepper and garlic powder, onion powder if you have it. If you don't, leave it out. It's not that serious. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this started. This is a complete Instant Pot recipe. If you don't have an Instant Pot, you can actually copy this on the stove, make it the exact same way, just on your stove. So it'll probably take like a couple more minutes to cook up rather than in the Instant Pot, but I'll show you guys how it goes. Okay, so the first thing I'm doing is browning up my ground beef. I just have my Instant Pot on the saute function. Sorry if it's a little bit noisy. So as I'm browning it, I'm just going to add the seasoning, so the onion powder, garlic powder, ground mustard, salt, and pepper. Again, I'll have the exact measurements in the description box below. So now that the ground beef is all cooked up, I'm going to add my noodles and my beef broth, covering the noodles, but we are not going to stir it together. We're just going to let it sit. Alright, so as you see, I've done that. So I'm just going to put my lid on, set it to ceiling, and then I'm going to put it on manual for 5 minutes. So again, you can do this over the stove top, so you would just follow the same exact process, but instead of putting it for 5 minutes, you're going to cover it with a pot top and cook it down until the noodles are tender. Alright, so my Instant Pot beeped at me, so I did a quick release of the steam, and I stirred up the macaroni and the beef. So this is looking good. The macaroni is new. The macaroni noodles are tender, sorry. And so now I'm going to add in a cup of milk, or this is heavy cream. Unfortunately, I still have more heavy cream. I don't know what to do with it, so if y'all have any ideas, please leave it in the comments, because I'm in over my head with this one thing of heavy cream. It never lasts me that long, but whatever. So I'm going to add that in. I'm also going to add in my Velveeta. Now, this is the one thing that I don't like about the Aldi brand, is that on the Velveeta brand, they have like the measurements on the side. This I had to guess, so it said 32 ounces over here. So I was like, okay, half would be 16, then half would be 8. Being as though I'm having this recipe, I'm only going to put in, being as though I'm only having this recipe, I'm only going to put in just like a couple of pieces and see how it looks, and then I'll add in more if need be. This isn't going to let me do it one-handed, so I'll put that in and then I'll show you. Alright, so I just have like 2 good-sized cubes of the Velveeta in here. I'm going to let that cook down, see how that melts and how it looks on the noodles, and if I need to add more, I have plenty more. But essentially that's going to be it. Alright, so I did add the other 2 cuts of cheese in here, so it's perfect now. I did a taste test. This tastes so delicious. I'm so proud. It honestly tastes so similar to the Hamburger Helper version, so if you guys really like that, definitely do this recipe. Okay, y'all, so this is plates. You can serve this with any canned vegetable that you want, or you can serve it on its own. You can do some bread and butter. Y'all get the point. So this is going to be dinner for Thursday. Alright guys, it is Friday, it is Chinese New Year, and tonight we are going to be doing a rendition on just plain ramen. So growing up, obviously, ramen noodles is like a staple struggle meal for real. We always either just ate it like that, or we had it with hot dogs. We had ramen noodles like pretty often. So I'm going to be doing a beef and broccoli ramen. Now, I will link the actual recipe that I am basing this off of. The ingredients and the steps are a little bit different. The reason being is I'm trying to make this as cheap as possible for those who need it as cheap as possible. So I'm going to be doing it this way. Hopefully on my channel I get to actually make it the way that it's made via the recipe. So instead of using steak, I'm going to be using ground beef. This is just the leftover half of the pound and a half that I used from the cheeseburger macaroni. I have some broccoli florets. I have some hoisin sauce. This was already in my pantry, but if it's not in yours, they sell it for like $2 or less at Aldi, or you could get this at Walmart for like $3. Some reduced sodium soy sauce, some ground ginger, and some garlic powder, because they ask for actual ginger and actual garlic powder, but I know that that's hard to come by sometimes, so I'm going to substitute the powdered one for this recipe this time. And then you just need 2 packets of ramen, any flavor, because you're not using the flavoring packet, you're just using the noodles. So I'm going to go ahead and boil my noodles. I'm also going to brown up my beef, and then I will mix the sauce together and I will show you guys exactly how that goes. Okay guys, so my beef was all done cooking. I just added in about half of that pack of broccoli because I'm only doing half of this recipe. So that's going to cook down. You should probably add just a little bit of oil if you have a low fat count beef like I do. I think this is like a 93% lean. So I'm just going to add a little bit of oil in. If you have sesame oil, this will be a great time to add just a very little bit of sesame oil. Do not overdo it. It is so strong. Believe me, learn from my mistake. It's such a strong oil. So I'm just going to add a little bit of oil in, let the broccoli cook down a little bit, and add in my noodles because they're done boiling. Alright y'all, so while all that is cooking, I'm going to be mixing together my sauce. So in a bowl, I have 1 tablespoon of the ground ginger and 2 tablespoons of garlic powder, and then also 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. If you don't have cornstarch and you have flour, use 1 tablespoon of flour. I've made some stuff happen with flour when I didn't have cornstarch. Believe me, it works. So I'm going to be adding 5 tablespoons of the reduced sodium soy sauce, and then 1/4 of a cup of the hoisin sauce. Also, if you have beef bouillon cube, or if your ramen noodles came with a beef seasoning packet, you can pour 1 of those in. Don't use all of them, just 1. 1 cube, 1 bouillon packet, or 1 beef seasoning packet if you have. If you don't, you can totally skip that. I mean, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. It makes a slight difference. So I'm going to go ahead and add this and this, and then I'm going to mix that together. Alright y'all, so as you see, everything is mixed together. You just let it cook down until your broccoli is as tender as you want it. As you see, I used frozen broccoli, so I just gotta cook it until there's no more ice in the broccoli. Essentially. And yeah, that's literally gonna be it. Alright, so dinner is all done. This is how it looks. I just topped it with everything bagel seasoning, if you know already. If you are new here, hi, my name is Ashley. I like to top all of my fake Chinese food with everything but the bagel seasoning. If you've been here, you already know. Y'all seen this before. So this is going to be dinner for Friday. Okay guys, so I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you are new here, I would really love it if you would consider sticking around and pressing that subscribe button and checking out all my other content. I have a few other videos on what's for dinner and just basic cooking and everything, just for you guys to get some more meal ideas and to help meal plan and everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye everybody.